I am skeptical that we'll see much from younger artists, at least not big artists, right? There are a lot of iconic artists like Neil Young, like Joni Mitchell, that can afford to make this decision, right? That's not saying there are contemporary artists that could do the same, but politics has always been baked into Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, the era that they came up in, the type of music that they've written. It's always had a sort of, a social responsibility to it, an awareness and aspect. You don't see that from the pop artists of today. Now, can I imagine Taylor Swift saying something? Yes, she is relatively more outspoken than most pop artists. I don't really think they have much of an option. They're so invested in Joe Rogan. He issued an apology last night. Daniel Ek, the CEO, wrote an open letter that ran yesterday explaining the steps that they were taking to make their content policy more transparent. Aside from that, I don't see them, altogether banning Joe Rogan or going against their biggest star. I mean, when you look at Joe Rogan's streaming numbers compared to really almost any musician, one-on-one, they don't stand up. What could change for Spotify here is if this snowball picks up speed and we got more artists, like if Bruce Springsteen decides to go on it, or Paul McCartney, or the Rolling Stones. It's important, I think, that Spotify, that Joe Rogan get ahead of this and address it, because they don't want it to continue. They want to be seen as taking steps to address they want to be seen as acknowledging the issue and taking steps to address it. And because honestly, I mean, I think we can all agree it's the responsible thing to do. Whether or not it's lip service or substantial action, we'll see. And whether it's enough to keep other artists from jumping on the bandwagon, we'll see. But I don't think that it's the sort of thing, while they may want to ride it out, I don't think it's the sort of thing that they can altogether ignore.
So it is the largest single constituency in the music subscriber landscape. And so that is pretty important, but its influence is far beyond that 31%. The reason being its soft power resides in the fact that Spotify users tend to be the most engaged music fans. They're the ones who tend to share the most and influence taste. It's the place where most artists and most record labels push their listeners. Look back at me. So fundamentally, Spotify has a huge amount of cultural capital. That is its soft power. And that is what is at risk, is if more artists essentially try to push more of their fans to other places. They don't even need to take their music down from Spotify. They just need to encourage their music fans to listen elsewhere. That is what could dent Spotify's cultural impact. The controversy around Joe Rogan is a test case for Spotify, and it's a really difficult balancing act. On the one hand, it relies upon artists for the vast majority of what it is today, but it relies on podcasts for what it hopes to be the majority of what it will be in the future.
It's like high school prom.
Do you get to kind of mingle with everyone and see what's going on?
Sometimes, yes. We're mostly seated and fixed for most of it.
Do you wait for everyone to come to you a little?